But yeah, I always like press record. Then I just like have general conversation beforehand because I don't like the real form. Like, oh well, welcome to the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, man. Yeah, I feel that.
Get the giggles out. But well, see, that's why I can't do podcasts with people I
I
know.
didn't
Like
even say anything.
I know, but I think I'm anticipating how the conversation is going to go,
Gotcha.
especially because we're talking about like comedy and shit. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I just feel like you about to say some shit on this podcast is about to have me dying.
I'm
But
sure.
hey, this is why I do this because this is the intro now. Like people will
Right.
start the podcast, they see us laughing, they be like, "Dang, what was they talking about right before?" It's nothing. We wasn't talking about nothing before. Y'all just tuned
Yeah,
in
they'll
to
never
listen.
know. They'll never know. They have
Uh,
no
but
idea.
but welcome to y'all. Welcome back to the banquet hall. We took a week off for Thanksgiving, being thankful for not being obligated to do shit. Honestly, like I just was like, I'm not recording a podcast today. I have leftovers. Um, there's better stuff in the world. How was your Thanksgiving,
Right.
man?
It was good. It was pretty good. It's all my family. It was nice. It's always nice seeing all my family. Um, went to my grandma's, the usual stuff, the usual things. How about yours? I was just about to ask you the same thing.
It was good. I went back to LA, went to my brother's house, and it was really fun. We were eating, we was playing trivia games, and the black card revoked got pulled out, and that's
Nice, nice.
that's when the debate started, and
Mm-hmm.
it was
We've
a
been
good
playing
time.
Uno at my like holidays, and that is the worst game to play with your family.
Y'all don't
It's
be
the worst
family at
game to
the
play
end
in a
of it.
big setting anywhere. Everyone has to. We all have to figure out what rules we're playing by. That's the weirdest thing about. That's the only game we're like, what rules are we playing?
And
What
that's
rules are we playing
exact
by?
that's exactly what I was about to bring up. But before I ask you about the rules, I feel like I should tell people who the hell you are.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. I think it might be important. Might be important.
might be important. So for those of y'all who haven't turned the podcast off because you're like, what the hell are these niggas talking about? Like to introduce y'all to a good friend of mine. We go way back, like full flats on the Cadillac, as old
Mm-hmm.
legend says. Aaron
That's right.
Monte, welcome to the banquet hall. How you doing?
Thank you, man. I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good. How was your Thanksgiving?
I can't stand you. We gonna get more into who Aaron is as we get through the conversation. But I have to ask the most important question that the people want to know. In Uno, when you're playing Uno, what rules are we rocking? What rules? I can't even speak English. What rules are we rocking with?
Okay, now see, this is it's important to note the number of people playing
Okay,
because if there's a lot of people playing, I would suggest playing stacks where you can stack numbers on.
let's say there's four
However,
people playing.
yeah, however, a lot of people don't like that rule for some reason. People want to just do the individuals, just so that we can argue for longer. I think is why people want to do that. But so I think I would play stacks if there's a lot of people. But if there's like four, if there's four, then regular style. Um, where the rule can't put a skip on a skip. People argue about that for some reason.
What you
Have you
mean
heard
you
that
can't put
before?
a skip on a? You can absolutely put a skip on a skip.
Not if you're the person that got skipped.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm back on
People have
your
tried
side.
to play. I've been in places where people have tried to play that you can skip the next. Like, actually, I'm not skipped. This guy is skipped.
Nah, I'll be
He's
damned.
skipped.
Like, nah,
The
yo
next
ass
two
got
people are
skipped.
skipped. Yeah, it's not like yeah. People tried
Nah,
that one.
I've never heard of that. So
Um,
wait. If I play a skip and then everybody else also got a skip, I can end up skipping myself on accident. Is what you telling me?
I guess so.
If
I guess so. If everyone else puts a skip down in this rule, actually, okay. So say there's like three skips in a row. That means then yeah, you're right. Then you
you
just
can
go
skip
around the
yourself.
circle and skip yourself at some point. Damn.
No,
That
we don't do
actually,
that.
that's probably the first time a lot of people will have heard of that rule. What else is there? What's another rule? What are the options again?
So, how about when you don't have a card? Do you draw one, or do you just keep drawing until you get a card?
That depends on the number of people for me too. If it's a lot of people, then you just draw the one.
Yeah,
If it's enough for the cards to go around, so you have to keep reshuffling. Also, if for some reason Uno cards are the hardest cards to
the
shuffle,
hardest cards to shuffle
you
for
just
no reason.
you always get one color, and you're like, "Yo, who shuffled these?" And they're like, "Dog, I shuffled for like 30 minutes. What do you want me to do? I didn't know." You can never. I've never gotten a good hand of Uno like off the first shuffle ever.
It's like once in a blue moon, you get a couple like plus fours and whatnot. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's always like 7 yellow cards. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
What am I supposed to do with that? This is ridiculous. What's another one? What's another one?
Let me ask you this one. Can you,
Okay.
when you are playing stacks, can you put a +2 on a +4?
Oh no, you can't. You can only.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a rule where you can go up. You can go if there's a +2, you can put a +4 on it,
Okay.
or a +2 and a +2, of course, and a +4 and a +4. But that's also another rule that people fight over is whether or not you can go up from the +2. Have you played that way?
So I'm much more of a traditional guy when I'm playing Uno. I'm not gonna hold you.
Okay.
I came to college and I was playing Uno. I put a +2, like, I got you. Then somebody put a +2 on a +2, and then the other person drew 4. I like, wait, what game is this? So no, I'm not a stack person, but I was gonna let you cook on the stacking first.
Man, honestly, it makes the game more fun if you can add a +4 to a +2. But I can see why people would be angry at that. And I know it's not one of the traditional rules. I know
It's
it. I
not.
know for a fact it's not. But hey, the game has evolved, man. It's like the NBA or some shit. Like the game has evolved over time. I wonder who came up with these extra rules though. I wonder who was just making. Is someone cheating for sure? And then people just rocked with it, and they probably took it other places. And Uno was about arguing anyway, so it don't even really matter what rules you play by. You're going to end up arguing at the end of the day. So
It is about arguing. I feel like the first person had to be like some dude like playing with his girl, started losing, and it's like, nah, like you could put a +2 on this, and then
yeah,
you really got a +4.
actually, I put a skip on that skip. You know what I mean? Like, actually, you're skipped if I put this skip down.
I love this podcast episode already. I swear somebody's listening to this like, are they just about to talk about Uno the entire time?
Oh my god, I love it.
I love it too, man. Hey, so back to the reason we are here today. Aaron and I, we went to middle school together. We went to high school together. We got a lot of shared experiences. We both from the city of Los Angeles, and I'm interested in just getting to know you more because I feel like when you go to school with somebody in your younger days, you graduate, then we just become adults off doing our own little side missions. Right. Then we come back together and it's like, hey, I remember you.
Yeah, I think I've seen you like for like maybe an hour every few months. You know what I mean? Like that. And even then, like I'm like literally working, so I'm not even able to like, just kick it and talk. But yeah, it's always nice to see you, but I'm always like, damn, I don't even get to talk to them that long. But I'm always like, yo, man, what's that?
Yeah, it's always a real friendly, good interaction. Like, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. But we're gonna get into all that. First, I want to talk about where we're from. So first couple episodes of this podcast, I've had a couple of folks from LA that went to UC San Diego. And I was telling one of them that when I first wanted to do this podcast, I was only going to interview people from LA because greatest city on earth, greatest basketball teams and whatnot. So you tell me, like, being from LA, what does that mean for you? And like, how do you like being from the city of Los Angeles?
Oh man. Wow, that's a really good question. Damn, okay. Yeah, you hitting me hard off top. Let's go back to Uno. I'm just playing. No, I really am proud of being from LA. Like for real. Like, for what I'd say it means to me, man. What does it really mean to me? It's being. We're so like there's a lot of cities like New York and stuff that have like different cultures, but I feel like we have a very wide variety of like everyone. This is like the golden land. This is like where people came literally in the fucking, the 49ers came here to get gold back. You know what I mean? Like way back then, people come to achieve their dreams, and it feels like a place where you can achieve anything. And it feels like especially being in comedy where you don't have that many people, from LA in that scene. Like people will see me and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're from LA. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like there's people here before you Minnesota motherfuckers came here. It wasn't, you know what I mean? So it always feels like you're in, like you're a part of the world that people want to be like come to and join. Like you were molded by, like a world of being able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. It also feels, if I feel more grounded in a way. People come here and they often feel like this is, they have a delusion of whatever they feel like it is.
Absolutely.
And I feel like growing up here, people are like, very starstruck about seeing people. And it's kind of like, well, I've just seen him at my barbershop the other day. Like,
Hey, just be out here.
he used to come to the crib all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Just random stuff like that. Makes you feel like you feel more grounded and like being more aware of reality of things when you're from LA, I think. Yeah, I'm proud of that because it's not a thing that most people get to experience. People people have their own view of things, in their own way. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I feel that. I feel that. I love being from LA. I think coming to college really exposed me to a lot of people from a lot of different places. And some people were like, man, I always dreamed of coming to California. I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
it's just Cali. I'm like, nah, like I
I will
always
say
wanted
though,
to
the
come to
weather is
LA.
the best. There's no other place with better weather than LA, and that is why that's like the number one reason why I'm never gonna leave. Everyone's like, "Would you ever leave?" And I'm like, "I don't think so, man. I think I think I'm
For
okay
what?
with being able to wear shorts, what I mean, in like November sometimes. Um, yeah, it is a place. Yeah, it's one of those places where everyone's like, yeah, wow, it's a dream. Like going anywhere and saying you're from LA is like saying you're from Narnia or some shit. Like people were like really mystified by that, and it's kind of like, all right, it's fine. One time when I was in Singapore, I told some girls from LA, and she's like, oh, I can tell you sound like Snoop Dogg, and I was like, no, I don't.
No, you do not.
No, I don't at all.
You don't sound like Snoop at all. I mean, like, I get it. Sometimes people are like, I guess I can see it. Nah, bro. I'm like, you don't sound like Uncle Snoop.
Right, right. In the slightest. In the slightest.
Uh,
But yeah.
oh, that's hilarious, man. Well, I'm happy that you're a funny person because you chose a career in stand-up comedy. I think that being funny it should be a prerequisite for it. I don't know if there's like an interview process that you have to go through to start going to the open mics, but I feel like that should be part of the minimum qualifications.
It should be, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, we
But
we gonna
thank
get
you,
into
man.
yeah, we gonna get into it. But when did you realize that you were funny? Like, was it like growing up? Did people tell you were funny, or were you just like, I don't care if I'm funny or not, I'm about to be a comedian?
That's funny. That'd be way funnier if like I wasn't funny at all. And one day I was just like, you know what, guys? I was like, all right. But I realized I was funny in grade school. I was always really silly, really very silly. I wasn't like a disruptive type of funny. I didn't think, at least I probably was at some point in time, but like I was the kind of person that wanted to tell the jokes to like the kids and the teachers. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
like whenever I had a chance to raise my hand, I'd answer the question, but like I'm gonna throw in a joke in there. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give you something else. And that was when I kind of felt like, making teachers laugh is the funniest thing to me because it's always like, oh yeah, this is fun. This is fun for all of us now. But yeah, so I realized that just being silly at school, I was always into like cartoons a lot and writing. I was always daydreaming, not paying attention and shit. That was like the biggest thing the teacher said, like, yo, he's always just daydreaming in class. Like he does not paying attention at all. um but yeah, I was also good at school though at the same time,
yeah.
which was cool. That was nice. Being able to be silly and do that. I got a, what was it, best sense of humor in eighth grade at Maria Regina, where we went to school. That was cool. It wasn't. I didn't really get what that meant. I don't even know if anyone understood what they were voting for. But it's like, all right, because there was a class clown and there was best sense of humor, and I was like, I don't really know. Like, nice. All right, the word humor is in it. I guess that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and I was always like writing stories and stuff. Always like drawing comic books, um, things like that. And then once I'd gotten, I don't know if you're gonna. All right, sometimes I answer questions too long. Okay,
No,
bet.
go for it.
Okay, bet. Yeah, so I was always writing, and I kind of wanted to. Everything I wrote was always very funny. I went to college and studied creative writing, and that's when I really really realized that where my funny bone was with writing and shit like that. So yeah, it was kind of really everything since I was a kid, to be honest.
That's really
Yeah.
dope. You mentioned a couple of things I wanted to touch on. One, I think mentioning that you like making the teachers as well as the students laugh, and now you
Mhm.
are a teacher. So I'm wondering,
Mhm.
do you have like a soft spot in your heart for like the class clowns in your class, or how does that work on the other side of it?
You know what? I since because I've been substitute teaching. I was substitute teaching for a long time, for like 5 6 years before I got my own class. And I kind of always, first of all, I always felt that teachers always kind of have an affinity for like the disruptive kid in class. There's a they want discipline, but I always noticed as a kid, even then, I was kind of like teachers kind of like these kids, like they
Yeah.
kind of they kind of root for these kids a little bit.
Yeah, they want them to
Um,
succeed.
yeah, so once I became a teacher, I kind of felt that way too. And even in my classroom, like I like making jokes in class. Like I feel like the kids connect to you more. They like you more. You know what I mean? Like they feel like they can be a friend, not even that exactly a friend, but like you can have some kind of rapport and like they can trust you and things like that. So I always like making jokes in class, and I like when kids are really funny. If it becomes too distracting, I'm like, all right, dude, you gotta relax. But you know, but for the most part, like I enjoy when I enjoy when kids feel comfortable enough to make a joke too in class. Unless they're doing it out of complete just disruption. But that's something I always like. I always like anyone that's making a joke or being funny. It's the best. It also
How
makes it
often
more fun to teach to do the job. Because you know what I mean. If I was too serious, I'd be like, oh man, I'm not even enjoying this part. You know.
Nah, that's real. How often do students like, or how has there ever been a time where students said like a joke that might have been severely inappropriate, but made you laugh anyway, and you had to like hold your professionalism together?
Oh man, super inappropriate. Uh, when I was like substitute teaching early on, literally like my second assignment ever. I had this kindergarten class at Yes Academy and it's off of Crenshaw and I think Manchester. And the whole school was out of control. The whole school was out of control at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but it was out of control back then. And I go in, it's my first day. I walk into this first grade classroom, and there's a bunch of papers on this desk, and they go and I walk in, I'm like, hey, where's the teacher at? Like, is there a note from the teacher? And they're like, no, man, you're the teacher. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, they've been just going through subs through this whole class, and now you're the teacher. And I'm like, I didn't know this at all. So I go in and I had to kind of make up lesson plans and stuff for the whole class and just make things up. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's literally my second assignment. And one day I used to sit all the kids down in a circle and read a story, and every day just read them a book. So I sit down with them and read a book. And one day one of the kids in the circle just stands up. And they're all out of control, crazy. By the way, all these kids are all these kids are just running around. He stands up and starts doing a dance. He's just going Hennessy, 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 and I was like, oh my! And in my head, I was like, all right, I can hold it together. But I lost it. I was cracking up. And the worst part about it is that once I started laughing, all the other kids in the class, picked up on what I thought
Yeah,
was
of
funny.
course.
So they all stand up and they start going, Hennessy, Hennessy, Hennessy. And it made me laugh even more because now it's more little kids doing this. now, so so now I'm dying laughing. And then since then, like they knew that if they ever didn't want to do some work or they wanted to try to get out of something, they'd start doing the Hennessy dance. And I was, I was like, they're never gonna ask me to come back. They never asked me to come back to that school.
Wow, I
The
wonder why.
principal never had me back.
Yes, imagine you the principal of the school. You walk by the classroom, a bunch of 6 year
Right.
olds.
right. Yeah. Hennessy. Yeah. I'm sure
That
parents had questions too. I'm sure the kids were doing it at home at some point, wondering where did you learn the Hennessy dance?
well, Mr. Monte.
Yeah, he loves it. Mr. Monte loves it.
That is hilarious. The other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned like wanting to make people laugh, but also being like a smart student, known as like one of the smartest students in your class. One of my most concrete memories of you that I'll never forget. You weren't even there for the memory, but Mrs. Plord, our eighth grade teacher, I'm literally walking into the chapel graduation day, and she was like, "You're gonna go be the next Aaron Monte."
Yeah, he told me that, and that's so crazy. What is it even like a Michael Jordan or something of the eighth grade? Like I'm Michael Jordan of the eighth grade.
Hey, but I took that. I was like, you know what? I want my jersey in the rafters like Monte.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. You know what's so funny about that? So I was balling out that 8th grade year. Like academically,
You
I was
were.
going stupid. That was crazy. That was a crazy year because at graduation, I was literally just winning like I had just stood by the stage
I
and they just,
remember that.
you were there that day?
Yeah, I
You
was
were
there.
there that day. God, yeah, yeah. So there's I just stood there while they gave me awards. And afterwards people were congratulating me. Like like, yeah, be the greatest person of all time when you grow up. And I'm like, whoa, Jesus Christ, God. And the thing is, school wasn't that hard. Like
It was it.
people thought I was a genius, and I was like, I just don't think it's that hard.
It
I got
really
to
wasn't.
school and I did not replicate any of that. I got to high school and it was not the same.
Yeah, Bishop was a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's
It's
so
so
wild
funny.
though. It was just like, oh, smart black guy, smart black guy. Like you're gonna be
Right,
the next
right.
Aaron.
You're the next up. You're chosen. That's so funny. No, I remember being back then. I was like, yo, this man Kyler is a fucking genius. I always thought that. I was like, yo, man. I was like threatened, like like
Not threatened.
LeBron. Like you're a LeBron.
Hey, it's this kid Kyler in his 7th grade. He might have next.
Right, right. Yo, man, he's on the come up. He's coming up. Yeah, man.
I'm over here studying the hell out these books. Like I'm about to get Aaron 1-on-1 academic decathlon. I got him.
Oh my God, we were in academic decathlon. I forgot about that.
We were,
That's
but
so
people don't
crazy.
know. People don't got to know we that nerdy. It's just us here, Aaron. No,
I completely blocked that out of my memory. For anyone who doesn't know what an academic decathlon is, because why would you?
all right.
We studied for fun after school and learned things. And then we met up with all of the other kids at other schools who also studied for fun. And we competed to see who learned the most.
And we lost every year.
Yeah, and we lost. Honestly, I
Oh my
blame team
gosh.
chemistry on those L's, to be real. I think we had it. We had the talent.
Oh,
We had the
uh,
talent. We
it's
were
the
in the gym.
execution.
We had all the talent possible, but hey, we couldn't
But
come together.
my question is, why was we in the sports arena for this sitting at tables? Like we was really them.
The
Like
LA Sports Arena, which was the funniest thing because it had been closed down for years, I think, before we
it
we
had.
were like the first events there or something like that. They had closed down since like the 80s or something. And then now we're in there competing with our minds.
Oh my gosh. This is why people say people from LA spoil because we got this LA sports arena to watch some 11 and 10-year-olds do math problems that they have no
Oh my
idea how to
God.
do.
I remember being there and they had props from when they brought back, what's that one show they had? There was a show they were shooting there where it was like they had to go against the other athletic people in
Yeah.
some sports thing. And I just remember the props being out, and I was like, it's just the stage is they just disassembled and moved it to the side so we can go in there.
Oh my gosh. I hope people are listening to this laughing as much as we are because
Right. Right.
academic decathlon, I feel like that's a very niche, that's a niche audience.
No, honestly, no, I had to read. Oh my God, I read the Chronicles of Narnia, all of the Chronicles. I read every Chronicle of Narnia for for that.
Oh my gosh. Oh, see, this is why I needed you on the podcast. I knew I was gonna get some laughs in. This is very selfish. I just wanted to laugh tonight, and I was like, you know what? Let me interview Aaron. But let's get deeper into the comedy. So, do you remember your first ever time like performing comedy at an open mic?
I do remember my first time for Mike. So I went to what was the place called? It was on Melrose. Sal's.
Mm-hmm.
It was a diner, Sal's something
Yeah.
on Melrose, but it's a diner in front, and then in the back there's a big stage. I just looked up online the Comedy Bureau, which is like a website, where you can look up different open mics and different shows. I think too. I don't know if I haven't been on the page in a long time since the pandemic, but that was where I looked up just where I go to open mics at. I found that spot, Sal's Comedy Hole, I think is what it was called. So I go there and I went in and watched the open mic. I didn't even sign up. I just went and watched it, and I watched all the comics go up, and I'm sitting there, and then and then after it all, everyone goes up. They're like, all right, anyone else? And they look at me. They're like, are you going up? I was like, nah. And they're like, well, you here to watch? I was like, yeah. And they're like, all
Yeah, I
right, you
am.
must be a big fan of comedy. And I'm like, I was like, oh, geez, all right. So then we left. And then the next time I was like, all right, next time I go, I'm gonna go up and do it. So I signed up. I went up and told some story about me being in Vegas with my friends. Um, and then I in the crowd, the moment that I liked the most about it, I don't think it was a good set. Of course, probably not when I looking
Yeah.
back, but it felt good, and everyone seemed like they were interested in what I was saying, and that was kind of like I was like, all right, this is not bad. I'm down with that. And the thing that kind of hooked me was like, and a lot of comedians talk about this all the time, but like seeing people's eyes and it's like a twinkle in their eyes and just like everyone, how they're looking at you like mystified, like you know what I mean, like they're under your spell, and that look, I was like, dang, like they're in the palm of my hands right now, like this is like, I can really captivate them in this way, and that I think that was the kind of hook to doing it. And then after that, I went to a different open mic and I bombed my ass off, and that's when I was like, okay, all right, now it feels like I started this, after I bombed the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
real. I feel like every time I talk to comedians or they always talk about just how difficult like stand up is. And I think that for your people that aren't really in the circle and know like artists and comedians, they just, oh, I can get up there and do jokes. And,
Right.
and so I just want you to address those people that think they could just get up there and do jokes and talk about like
Oh,
why stand up is more difficult than it seems.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Listen up, you motherfuckers. I'm just playing that. No, here's the thing. If people come up to me, if people come up to comedians all the time, and one of the first things most people say is, yeah, I'm funny. I think you can go up and do it. And I would never say that they couldn't do it. I always say, yo, if you want to try it, you should try it. But if you don't actually mean that you're going to try it, don't tell me that shit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that you think you're funny, but you're not going to go on stage. Because if you
Right.
come and ask me, should you try it? I'm always going to be like, yeah, you should definitely try it one time. And then maybe you're not built for it. Maybe you actually fall in love with it and then become good at it. Or maybe you never get good at it, but you fall in love with it. Something, regardless, it could be a hobby or something if that's
Mm-hmm.
the case. But yeah, I always tell people to do it. But if you don't want to do it, I don't want to hear your tags. I don't want to don't want to hear your jokes. I don't want to hear none of the jokes. You gotta try it. You gotta go to one open mic and bomb your ass off in order for me to hear anything at all. And even then, even then, I'm like, you don't even want a mic and you bomb and you bomb. So
Nah, that's real. Because another one I know that you get is like, oh, like I do stand-up comedy. Oh, tell me a joke
Oh
right
my god,
now.
that's the worst one. That is the worst one. And I've answered like an asshole a few times, and I felt bad about it. But then I was like, nah, it's probably fine.
They
But
deserve it.
yeah,
Said they deserve it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, to an extent. But then here's the thing: like when I do answer like an asshole, they always look so sad. Oh, well, you wanted to hear a joke. And then sometimes I do hate it every single time. Sometimes it like changes my whole perspective of people once I tell them, and then that's when they say. Sometimes I'll be having a good conversation, and then I tell them I'm a comedian, and they say it, and I'm like, "Oh, you just ruined this whole conversation," because now I don't want to talk anymore. Now I don't want to talk at all. I try to think of what is the best response. I don't even know what the best response is. Like, I think people have some comedians have their own set response that they say,
Mm-hmm.
but like because it just helps. But I can never like I don't have anything. I don't even remember what I've answered good a few times and be like, ooh, I should keep that, and then completely forgot what it was I was supposed to say later. It all just throws me off every time.
No, I feel that. I feel like that there's no real win in it for you unless you just give in and tell them like the funniest joke they ever heard. Because it's like I just don't know what they expect. Like, oh, let me just turn on comedian mode because
Yeah.
there's a persona that you have when you're in front of the mic. Because even as a poet, like people have told I told you oh, I'm a poet. Like, oh, do a poem right now. I'm like, I don't want to.
To be or not to be, you just so you can snap into it. Like that's so crazy, man. Yeah, it doesn't. It's so weird. Like no one. That's the only. It's the only profession when that people do that to you, and like, just like, yo, do it now. Like, why do I have to prove this right now? And even then, like, it ain't even the right context. I'm probably gonna tell this joke, and then you're gonna be like, all right, and then, like, I'm like, well, it's different. Now
Yeah,
your whole opinion of me is based on this me talking to you in front of you. You ain't even seen me do the jokes for real. Yeah,
exactly.
that's really the main reason. I'm like, dog, I'm gonna ruin my whole bit,
Yeah, because exactly,
wasting
it's
it
a
on
bit.
you.
You
Yeah,
have context. There's like a story. There's characters.
yeah,
We just be talking about Uno, then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, tell me a joke. It's like, well, Uno is not the setup for that joke.
right, exactly, exactly, man. And
Uh,
usually I've already said like several funny things, and I'm like, you can't just go based off of what I've already said. I gotta tell you more funny things.
like keep them coming. We want more. That wasn't good enough.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Like that
exactly.
wasn't a joke. I need you to do a performance
Yeah,
joke right now.
right. For real, man.
For real. When we think about like comedy, like were there any comedians that you like looked up to or people that you study to kind of get inspired for your own craft?
Ooh, yeah, man. I guess my favorite of all time is Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Um, the first special I ever watched was the Richard Pryor special. Um, it was the what was it? The live in concert when he's in Long
Mm-hmm.
Beach Performance Hall, I think, or something like that. I think it's called Long Beach Performance Hall. But that was the first special I ever watched from that, like at 3 a.m. on Comedy Central, when like me and my cousins were like gonna stay up and watch it, and they all fell asleep except for me. And I was like, all right, well, let's watch it. And it was uncensored at 3 a.m. on Comedy Central, so I watched it. And I advertised it all day. They're like 3 a.m. It's gonna be cussing and stuff. And so like I say, all right, cool. So I watched it and I was like, dang, because I was like, I wondered how it was gonna be. I was like, is he gonna talk for an hour? I was like, that's crazy. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. But I stayed up and watched it and I was like, dang, this is dope. So Richard Pryor always, and that's still to this day like one of my top three specials of all time. But there's so many like comedians. I feel like even as like comedians and comedic actors, I kind of like try to look at things, specific things that they do. Like I really, like Will Ferrell's screaming is something that I'm like, all right,
Mm.
that's a good. His scream is really good. Or like Gene Wilder, even from Willy Wonka, like, and a bunch of other stuff, especially Richard Pryor, like that he did. The stuff that they do, like their expression of like anger or or passion, or whatever, is really good. And I like how Dion Cole is someone that I like that also is. He takes things that are so simple and he like and he kind of describes it in a way that it's just I don't know. He kind of breaks everything down. It's like the funniest,
Yeah.
most relatable things. So I always admire like different aspects of like different comedians. So there's so many, man. I can't even like George Carlin is somebody who I like how he just how his cadence is, like how he just keeps going and keeps talking the same rhythm, which is something I don't have at all. I'd be just be laughing through my whole set.
You do be
But yeah,
laughing through
man,
your
just
set.
yeah, right. Um, yeah, so it's so many comedians, man. Like, and there's always like somebody new, even like my own peers. A lot of the time, I'm like, dang, like that's something that I admire about like different comedians. My favorite comedians are the comedians that I know a lot of the time. So it's like it always just grows, and like especially as I continue to like go into like going back into different comedians in like the 80s, 90s, or even like old comedians, like back to with like the Marx Brothers or Charlie Chaplin, like all that kind of stuff is kind of like really inspiring to like see like how fast written jokes used to be, and like how snappy they people used to write jokes, and how that kind of evolved over time. So it's always like it's always fun to go through and see the different aspects of my favorite comedians or comedic actors.
That's real. Put people on real
Yeah,
quick. Who are some of your peers that you think people should be on the lookout for? I mean, obviously, I want everybody listening to this to tune into your own comedy stuff, but who are
yeah,
some of your
yeah.
peers?
Yeah, man. Like, what my favorite comedian is Mike Falzone. He's already popping, but like he's like a master of crowd work. Like, I wish I could have had crowd work like him. He has whole specials of crowd work, and it's just fucking amazing. He has his own show called Surrounded. He's actually touring now. Like, I think he's taking it different places now. Mike Falzone, he's got two podcasts that are fucking really dope. Tommy Wakefield, my boy. We got albums together and stuff. he's up and coming. Niles Abston, very funny. He's also up and coming too, and deserves more shine, especially as a black comedian.
Mhm.
Yeah, and more opportunities as well. Yeah, who else, man? There's so many. Max Castillo, big time Macca on TikTok. He's actually really on the come up. His shit goes viral all the time to the point where niggas are jocking his shit now, which is crazy.
Hey,
People are like taking the bits that he's done that he went viral with and like making that their whole thing. And then people hit him up like, "Yo, man, did you take his shit?" And he's like, "No, man, he took he took my shit." Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many like Kyle Real, who's popping on TikTok too, man. It's just really funny, Pink Fox, who just did Just for Laughs in Montreal, very funny, and open for like Chappelle and things like that. So, yeah, man, there's so many, man. I get inspired by like people all the time, especially when I see people like going in and like succeeding. Like Michael Longfellow on SNL, who just got on SNL, was a homie of mine. And I was like, damn, he was the reason I was like, yo, man, I need to quit my day job now because this is getting out of hand. Like, these niggas are blowing out. He's about to be on TV with Steve Martin and Martin Short next weekend. This is this is getting out of hand. So, but yeah, I'm always inspired when I see like the homies like that are very funny, like getting their worth, and that's the best shit ever.
nah, that's real. I think there's beauty in seeing people that you like personally support, like finally getting their shine. That's why the moment
Yeah,
when I saw you was like performing, I'm like, oh, he got a show in San Diego. Like, I'm pulling up. Like, I gotta
yeah,
be there.
man.
I gotta pull up.
Yeah, I always appreciate it. I always know when most of the time I know that you're gonna be at a San Diego show, and that's always the dopest feeling.
Yeah, if I'm in town, like I think it was a couple
Right, right,
times. You always miss me in San Diego. Like, damn, I'll be in Atlanta. Damn, I'll be in New York.
right, right.
I think last time, I think you performed in New York. I was in San Diego. You performed in San
Yep,
Diego. I was in New York. I'm like,
yep.
man, it's some BS.
That's so funny.
But for people that haven't heard your stand up or haven't heard you perform, like what type of comedian would you say that you are? Or what type of comedian do you hope people see you as?
Ooh, oh man. Here's the thing. I had a set answer for this too. I don't even remember what. That's none of those things. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna say, and I always forget. Um, I tell a lot of stories. I guess it's real introspective. Like it's usually about. I like to talk about things uh, that are that are wrong with not wrong with me, but like things that about myself that I feel I need to get off my chest. I guess is very like opening up to people. I guess it feels like,
Mm,
which I guess all stand up most of the time should be. People really want to know who you are. That's really the main thing. They don't care what you think. They just want to know who you are. Um, but yeah, I would say that it's very introspective and kind of just I look towards I feel like thinking about or talking about the things that bother me or the things that I'm struggling with or things like that help people to relate to you and they feel they can think about the things for themselves as well. Or may feel or feel differently about things like that. But it's all really like real reflective on my own personality or my flaws, things like that.
that's real. And I would say that's accurate as well. I think that when it comes to comedy, I feel like, especially in the year of 2022, you got to be
Yeah.
real iffy sometimes about recommending comics to people or like what type of show you're going to get into. It's like,
Right.
oh, they're a comedian, huh? Like, what type of jokes are they making? So I just
Yeah.
want to, I want to make sure that the folks listening to this know you got a stamp of approval that not like you're going to have a good time. You ain't gonna be like, oh, he really said that. We should
Yeah.
cancel him.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the goal, man.
Yeah, because I mean, last show I went to the Don't Tell I guess should I be talking about Don't Tell Comedy? Is that like
Oh, for sure. You can talk about Don't Tell Comedy.
is that illegal? Nah. Because when I found out she was a performer, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna find like a girl to go with. Like we go to the show, and I had to think of like, dang, what are the other comedians? Like, you know what? I'm gonna let her know we're going to see my friend Aaron.
Right, right.
He's gonna be funny.
That's
I
funny.
can't guarantee what happens for the rest of the show,
Yeah,
but remember that I said we're going to see Aaron Monte. So when he performs, we hear.
yeah, yeah. I love it. Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. Yeah, you can't guarantee anything else.
And I want to talk before because I'm gonna get towards the end of this really quickly, but I want to talk about crowd work for a little bit because that reminded me at Don't Tell Comedy. I think that one of the comics, I forget her name, but she was like talking to some of the people in the crowd, and she asked like somebody was like, "Oh, like are there any like horse people here?" And this guy said no. And his wife was like, "Nah, he's a horse person. He has 9 horses." It's like, how don't you identify as a horse person when you got 9 horses? I was just like, what are we doing here?
Right.
But I wanted to know, like, do you have like a weirdest or most memorable crowd interaction from any of your shows, or something that always sticks with you, or a funny one? Any of those stories?
Oh man, you know what? This is actually so funny that you bring up crowd work because I've been really trying to get into my crowd work bag more. I've been like really trying to figure out how to, and I do it sometimes. I do it for a couple minutes sometimes. I'm really just trying to find the groove of where to go with it. But like, I think the funniest one, and sometimes the funniest ones, I don't even have shit to say to it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I fucking wish I had something to say to this shit." But it'll be so wild, and I'm like, I don't even like. Literally last week at my Vino Underground show we have on Saturdays, um, the dude in the crowd. I don't even remember what I asked him, but he was all of a sudden. I think I asked him if he supported sex workers, and he was like, well, not really, because Pornhub started accepting cryptocurrency. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, you don't have to put a credit card in. And he just started talking about it. Just starts talking. I didn't know what to say. I had no clue what to say. I said some silly shit. I think I have a clip of it. I'll post it later this next week. It's probably decent. It's not amazing, but you'll see. I'll get surprised sometimes at things that people will tell you at a show. The one other dude said that he was drunk as hell, but him and his wife were both drunk as hell. But they also were. I asked if he had started OnlyFans. He was like, "Yeah, I've been trying to," and she doesn't. She doesn't want to do it, and she was so upset. It's always like I'm always like, "Dang, why would you tell anybody this?
Right. You don't
Why
know
would you?
us.
You don't know us at all. You don't know us at all." They got so mad that they left. She got so mad that they left. I was like, "Oh, geez, all right, well, maybe they'll start OnlyFans. We'll see. Maybe."
You
Yeah,
go to their OnlyFans, the skit starts with them leaving the open mic comedy
yeah,
night.
right, right.
Uh, well, as we wind down here, one more thing that I want to make sure to bring up, and you don't know this, but I wanted to save it for this moment. Before we started recording, I listened to the full Run the Fools album back. I hadn't listened to it in a while, but I was like,
Okay.
let me play Run the Fools real quick. So I want you to talk a little bit about your musical comedy career, like comedy albums, and one Run the Fools slaps more than I remember. Like it's funny, but it
Right.
kind of it slaps. It's like, oh yeah, like
Thank you, man. Thank
yeah,
you.
it slaps. And These Girls with Kids, Certified Bop. I know that's not on the album,
Right.
but that's another Certified Bop. So
Right.
I just talk a little bit about like where you got like inspiration for doing like more musical comedy skits or putting out an album, and just what that process is like for you.
Well, I always really liked doing music stuff, especially like, everyone wants to be a rapper at some point in time. But I always like doing music stuff, especially making funny songs. Like, I mean, you'd probably see me perform it like in high school. I used to do songs and shit all the time, performing, making silly songs about different things. But then when I got into doing stand up, I always figured that music would be a good way to um incorporate and make something different, put something different in my sets. Especially because I always wanted to do comedy songs. I always liked The Lonely Island. I always like, Adam Sandler's music. So many different, Lil Dicky at one point in time in college,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like it was like people like that I was like, dang, there's not, you don't see many, there are comedians that do it, but you don't see many comedians that'll do a set of comedy and then do some stand up at the end of a show. So I started kind of, working on that kind of stuff. And I had always had ideas for songs. So I started working on that. And my goal um, was always to make it slap, but also be funny, which is, thank you for saying that about Run the Fools, because that's really the goal, is to make it so it's silly, but people will still want to listen to it because it goes hard. I think the hardest one to sell on Run the Fools is Tingling My Penis. Yeah,
We
that's the hardest one
yes.
to sell. That's my favorite song though. That was that's my favorite song, but no one rocks with it, and I'm kind of sad that no one rocks with it. But it's okay. We learn. I'll come up with a different one over time. I think if I dropped a video, people might rock with it a little bit more. But still, it's a hard sell. It's a really hard sell. No one wants to sing "Tingling My Penis," but it has a special place in my heart. Yeah. So then I started working on music. Writing songs, getting beats from different friends, and I was always around musicians and people that were in music. So kind of made it easy for me to, start working on some music. Then I met Tommy Wakefield, and he was a good piano player. Already had videos on like Instagram and stuff or and YouTube of him making comedy songs. So I, just started pulling up to the shows, and I was like, "Yo, man!" Like one day he was playing the piano at one of the shows at the Bar Lubish in Hollywood. I was like, "Yo, man, you want to come? You want to do some music together?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's kick it." So we started kicking it, and he was making beats and producing and things like that. And after a while, during the pandemic is really when we started kicking it. So we were together like every day, just chilling, and then it ended up working on an album for the whole year. So then I ended up having the two albums. I had my own album and then album with Tommy. And my idea for my original album for This One's For Your Mama was for me to have live jokes and then in between songs. But then the pandemic happened and kind of stopped me from recording all of my sets. So I ended up doing it in a studio, and kind of made like different characters and stuff in the crowd. So that was cool. But I think that I working on that helped me really get better for Run the Fools. To be honest with you, it was kind of like a stepping stone type of thing. Because a lot of the songs I had done for This One's For Your Mama I had already recorded like a year before. So it kind of helped me get better at the music making process. And now at this point, I don't even know. I'll probably do a couple more solo albums, but I'm more focused on Run the Fools because Run the Fools really got. I think we got some legs, so I think we'll keep working on that. And I like working with Tommy, so I probably will be continue doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last thing that I just have is, where can people find you and how can people support you?
Oh, word. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and probably something else at The Real Aaron Mon at TheRealAaronMon. You find me on YouTube at Run the Fools. Run the Fools' YouTube page. Aaron Monte's YouTube page should be up soon, but just look it up. You'll see. I have a show, Vino Underground, at OENO Vino in Glendale Boulevard, in Atwater Village every second and fourth Saturday of the month at 9 p.m. So if you ever want to come out and see some comedians, we always got some dope comedians from Comedy Central and other places. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, if you look up my shows on Instagram, I got a link on there. So come through.
Yeah, and also share people posts. Like, y'all can be sharing the IG reels, share the posts, like
that's
let people
facts.
know.
You ain't even got to post on your story. Literally, just you can bookmark it. I think that's what.
Yeah.
To be real, bookmarking I think is a major thing. I didn't even realize that. So just bookmark it. You ain't even go back and look.
Yeah, no, that's real.
I encourage people to bookmark my shit.
I'm gonna start bookmarking your shit more because that is real. When people save stuff, like it just adds to the mysterious algorithm. Right. And then also like right. One more thing, because I know this is something that you talk about a lot on your IG story. When y'all say y'all gonna pull up to a show, pull up to the show. And when y'all be like, "Oh, when you gonna perform?" This man has a list of performances.
It's
go to one of those.
It's always there. It is always there. Yeah, if you ask me when my next show is, I'm gonna lose my mind. You're always like, "Yo, when's the next one? I'm coming to the next one." Like, all right, we'll see. I will say people have gotten better at it, but hey, there's some people where I'm just like, I know you're not coming. Sometimes people will tell me that people don't be coming when I say that, and I'm like, no, they don't. But yeah, if you want to come through, it's a good time. It's always a good time. So if you want to have some laughs, no matter what venue it is, it's going to be a good time. I will be funny, 80% of the time.
That's all you can promise. You can only control what you can't control.
Right, exactly.
One more thing I just thought of to close out this episode, I think it would be kind of fun and to put you on the spot a little bit. What are some like comedy open mic do nots? Like, what's the like rules of the comedy night? Because I feel like some people come to comedy shows and they trying to tell their jokes or they trying to steer the way it's going. So what are some of your pet peeves of open mics when you're performing?
Ooh, for open mics?
Or like from the audience, like when people are in the audience, or any audience pet peeves?
Ooh, anyone that's too drunk is annoying. That's my biggest pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve is when people are really drunk because then they can just yell the whole time. And sometimes, and I'm a comic who doesn't even really get that mad at people talking to me when they're in the crowd. But if it gets to the point where you just want to talk the whole time, that's when it's gotten out of hand. But that's literally my only pet peeve. But most of the time, I feel like people are cool when they say one or two things because I feel like it makes it a little more fun for me. Or it's at least a challenge for me. I'm like, all right, let me see if I can volley this and get this to be funny. But yeah, just hold your liquor. You know what I mean? That's that's the main thing. That's the main takeaway, I think.
Hey, well, y'all heard it here first, folks. Hold your liquor.
Yep.
Y'all got a lot out of this episode. Hopefully, y'all got some laughs. It'd be really awkward if we just busted up laughing this whole
Yeah,
time.
right.
People just listen to this. When are they going to talk about something serious?
Right. Oh my God. Yeah, I hope. I hope the Uno part was at least good. I think that was some gold. There's some good stuff in there.
No, absolutely. I can't wait to post this episode.
Yeah,
But
man.
thank you once again, Aaron. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. I mean, like I said, I selfishly got to laugh out of this episode, so I don't care if anybody else did or did not.
Right.
But this is a great time. Always great catching up with you. And hopefully I'll be seeing you at an open mic or at a comedy show pretty soon. And listeners, make sure y'all follow him at The Real Aaron Mon. Come to the show, share the clips, bookmark it, hit up Run the Fools on YouTube, download the album on Apple Music, Spotify, all that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Any last words before I close the recording? Any last words of wisdom or just shit you want to get off your chest on a mic?
I mean, hey, go Lakers, I guess.
Ooh,
let's get that one.
I love just where Lakers fandom is right now because go Lakers, I guess. I don't know.
I'm still saying it, but my voice, you don't hear it in my voice. I say it. But you can't, the feeling is leaving. The feeling is leaving.
That's the
I'm like dying I'm like slowly dying while I say go Lakers.
It's like Laker Nation.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hey, go Lakers. Go Austin Reeves Lakers. Let's
exactly.
Put some respect on Austin Reeves. We're going to end this podcast on a good note. Shout out to Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves.
And thank y'all for listening, and we'll catch y'all next episode.